Hi everyone, today we're talking about the free stocks that I could be buying in October. These are free stocks that I'm potentially watching to buy in October. Whether or not I do buy them is another thing, but these are probably the three strongest companies out there that I'm looking at buying right now and sharing them with you. Always good to, as a YouTube community, to be sharing these ideas with each other and how other people are thinking. I think it's amazing. So I'm going to share the three stocks that I think are pretty good opportunities right now to be getting into. So the first one actually reported earnings not too long ago, which is Adobe, and they beat earnings again. I think that's the third time in the row that they've actually beat earnings. Really solid company. If you watch my channel regularly, you know that I'm a big fan of Adobe. It's a stock that I personally don't have any shares in. I have owned Adobe stock before, but it is such a solid company. The EPS growth of it, the revenue growth of it, I love the subscription model of it. And Adobe did report earnings and they were really good. Really interesting point on Adobe now is that I don't know what it is, but whenever Adobe seems to report earnings, what we see is we see it go up slightly, and then we always see a sell-off, and that sell-off tends to go to the 50-day moving average. And then when it hits that 50-day moving average, we normally see it bounce up and then it shoots higher. And it's doing exactly the same thing again, so it's probably a really good opportunity to buy now. It's on a bit of a discount. I think its highs were towards like 273 a share, and then it's just dropped back down to 260. I think the 50-day moving average is around 257 right now. So it's interesting that it's going to drop again, and it'll be interesting to see if it bounces off that 50-day moving average like it normally does. But Adobe overall is a really solid company. The interesting thing now is with Adobe is because it's just gone up so much over the last couple of years. I think it's up like 250% over 3 years or something like that. It's something crazy like that. The forward PE is slightly creeping up on it, and then we see the PE starting to creep up on it now. I think even the forward PE is towards the 40 range now, which is very high. And I read a really interesting article on Adobe recently, which is that for Adobe to keep down in them like ratios, which are good ratios and not, in my opinion, go overpriced, is that we have to now see Adobe actually increase their revenue to 30% growth, where it's been at 20% for so long. Which is a really tricky task for Adobe to do, but it seems like the management side of it have also picked that up, and they want to try keep their stock undervalued, and they're actually going to have to start making a couple of purchases to actually get the revenue increased. And we actually saw, which was interesting because we actually saw Adobe make a purchase earlier this week, which was a near $5 billion deal for a company called Martio, which is a marketing automation company. And this deal was actually closed in 2018 financial year, which is interesting that Adobe have kind of picked up the same thing, that they have to be purchasing these companies and try and get that company growth of the revenue and the EPS back into 30% or towards 30%. So it seems like the management's really switched on with it all, which is really good, and just a really solid company. I don't really see it going down anytime soon. I think that this stock could easily go up to $30 per share for this company. And it's a company that I'm just watching very closely because it's something that I could potentially get into at some time. We'll see what happens over the next month. My number two stock is NVIDIA. NVIDIA overall is at a big dip at the moment because of some negative news, but this stock could easily be shooting up a lot more. It's down quite a bit off its 52-week highs. The great thing with NVIDIA now is that I feel like when I've been watching the stock over the last few years, NVIDIA's been a bit of a stock which is a growth stock, where the revenues have just been growing massive, but the revenues have now shrunk down quite a bit, and it feels like to me that NVIDIA has now turned into a what I call one of my value growth stocks. A value growth stock for me is a company that has good value with the PE ratios and everything like that. But also offers a double-digit growth in its revenues and its EPSs. And NVIDIA is sort of turning into that company right now, which is good from my point of view because it now comes to a company where before I've been a bit like, it's a bit of a growth company, where it's now it's one of the, it matches my like principles of investing into a company. NVIDIA's forward PE has actually dropped down to 35, which is really good right now. I think its PE is currently into the 40s. The growth is slowing down, but it's still at 10%. And the big dip was basically caused because Morgan Stanley said that its new new card that it brought out was disappointing with its kind of potential, and it didn't go to what they achieved. There wasn't much of an improvement on the last one, and that basically brought the stock down. But at the same time, there was another two companies that came out and like raised the price target on NVIDIA, which is interesting. So it's definitely a good purchase point because it's on a dip to buy, and I think because of the forward P coming down and still offering you the double-digit growth, it's an interesting play going forward towards the 2019 and 2020 kind of year. That financial year, we could see the EPS slow down quite a bit, but the revenue will still keep going up 10%, whereas before NVIDIA's kind of revenue has been in the 20s, 30%. So one to consider there. My number 3 stock is Visa. I put / MasterCard, but mainly Visa, but MasterCard's exactly the same. Both companies kind of exactly the same really. But for me, Visa, I had a look and its P is at 40. It's doing really well this year, as it always does. Such an easy stock to make money on. The forward P is actually 29, and with Visa we're still getting the 10% growth on EPS and revenue. It plays a dividend, but it's not a massive dividend. But you just if you look at the chart of Visa, it's just such a steady stock that just goes up. And I think it's just easy money, and because of me being in PayPal for so long, and it's pretty just a nice easy stock, that I potentially need to get another kind of like payment company in there, because they just go up massive, and there's never really kind of any bad stuff that comes out with payment companies, because it's just money coming in at all time. Everyone just carries on using them. We're always going to have like payment companies around. There's always people paying for things. There's, for Visa, there's like so many countries now that are still using cash and switching to card. Personally, like everyone my age that I speak to basically just uses card and doesn't actually pay with cash anymore. So all the other companies are kind of going like that. And I think with the younger generation coming up, my sort of generation, everyone just seems to use cards. So that's a good thing for Visa and MasterCard. They just seem like very safe companies. And they're just two companies that are potentially that I've said before on this channel, going into 2019, I would like to have a position in one of them or both of them next year. We'll see what happens. They're at a good position right now. You don't really get too many dips with Visa and MasterCard. The biggest dips you kind of see is like, I think the biggest one this year was 10%, which was quite a big one, the normal, but 5% is the normal one that you get. It never really goes down more than 5%. So we'll see what happens. It's something that I'd like to consider investing into over the next three months. I'd definitely like to have a position in these two stocks and hold for a while. And those are my 3 stocks for October, guys. Any stocks that you're looking at buying, comment them down below. Give the video a like, subscribe. Thanks for all the support recently, the subscribers, the likes, the comments. It's been amazing. Really enjoyed making the videos at the moment. And I'll see you on the next video tomorrow, guys.